Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more to some more Faceit League action. What is coming down to the last couple of days of the regular season, and now for a lot of teams, it is all about that sitting. And for one team today, Emote down mid, that is definitely the case. A lot of teams currently sitting around that 9-win mark, same as EDM. These last couple of wins here mean a lot. For EU Takeover right now, unfortunately not a playoff contending team, but they are in a situation where sitting for them still matters. They're going to be in that LCQ, and getting a big win here near the end of the season would put them in a slightly better position once we get to that last chance qualifier.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, EU Takeover. I mean, me and you have tried covering this team a couple times throughout the regular season. Granted, every time we have, they rescheduled. Much like this week. This was originally supposed to be a Tuesday game. Got moved here to Thursday, but hey, 8 o'clock means that we can cover it still, and we're really happy to see the EU Takeover team because there's a lot of players on this team that are really talented, and that 4-8 record is a little bit of a head scratcher here, or 4-9 record, my bad, is a little bit of a head scratcher. One that you wouldn't necessarily expect from this team, and one that I feel like a team coming into the season, a lot of people had marked down as maybe a team that should be able to make the playoffs. I think they just had a little bit of trouble this season, and I don't blame them. I think it was the first time this team has been together here in NA Masters. It takes a little baby steps here. You finish the season off good here with your last two games. You don't need wins, but you just need good results here. But a win tonight against Emote down mid, like you said, Hunter, currently sitting in that interesting spot here where, yeah, they have 9 wins at the moment, but they have 4 losses, where a lot of other teams right now sitting in playoff spots have those 4 losses. So winning out would go a long way for them for seeding purposes. Hell, I think winning out might even get them into that top 4, which granted makes it a little bit of a tougher road, but still, the higher you are, the more confident you have to feel about yourself going to playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. And it cannot be expressed how important it really is for the situation. Whether you are the 3rd seed to 8th seed is a question of whether you face one of the other middle of the pack teams right there, or having to face a team like Nightmare or Dreamland right out the gate. And there's not a lot of teams that I can really count with my hands that would like to start things out that way. I mean, if you're a sadist, be my guest, do it as you please. But in this situation, I imagine Emote down mid probably want to take a nice couple of wins to end the season. For EU Takeover, it's about ending things strong. They have their own game going on in a couple days here against Dreamland, who again is trying to secure themselves that number 1 seed. Still only have that 1 loss, while Nightmare took that 3-0 loss to Kintsugi earlier on this week. And while they're still technically the 1st seed right now, they are susceptible to losing it if Dreamland simply wins it out.
Yeah, I mean, standings right now look a little bit weird because Nightmare has those 2 losses, able to bounce back last night against Shigigami to get back in that win column here. But as the season goes on here for the rest of these 2 teams, if Dreamland does what they need to do, they should be the number 1 seed. Nightmare should be the number 2, unless they slip and fall here in their last couple games. But right now, it's very interesting because Emote down mid, Hunter, at the start of the season, me and you talked about it a little bit. They went 0-3 in their first 3 with losses to Casa and Hivemind, who right now aren't playoff teams as well. Their first game was against Nightmare. So, I mean, you could make an argument that one makes a little bit of sense, but ever since that 0-3 start for Emote down mid, they have only lost 1 game and are now on, I believe, their second 4-game winning streak of the season, looking to make it 5 here tonight. This team has really revived itself, it seems, here ever since that little bit of a sluggish start for them, looking like one of the better teams here in North America, or at least this Masters tier. And you really have to compliment them on that turnaround there. I feel like a lot of teams going 0-3 kind of maybe start down themselves here. I feel like Emote down mid locked in at that moment and became the juggernaut that they really should have been at the start of the season.
Yeah, and that's the thing we expect out of a lot of these players as well. A lot of players formerly of this Dilduck squad, a couple of them former EDM members of their own that have stuck around, such as Cardifan, who has been really consistent throughout the entirety of this season. So I'm excited to see what this team can do, but like you said before, this is our first actual time being able to really co-stream this EU Takeover squad, and we've seen them a time or 2 in the past before. We are quite familiar with quite a couple of these players, especially look back at some of these players that are pretty familiar with us in CGL. I think of Consta and AGMR pretty much right out the gate when I think of CGL players, especially when we go over towards that EU region. But I'm excited to see what this team's going to be able to do, as waiting for these lineups to be able to finalize. Obviously, a lot of talent between both of these squads right here. Wouldn't be surprised if you see a couple of substitutions throughout the match.
Yeah, both teams do have the max rosters here with 8 players. So I would expect seeing subs. I mean, you talked about AJMR for Emote mid. Ginger Refill has definitely been one that I've seen a little bit in just the small amount of collegiate stuff I've been able to cover. A really good player there. I mean, like I said, this EU Takeover team does have a lot of talent. I just think this first season in NA Masters was a little bit of a wake up call for them here. They need to really right the ship here towards the end. Like I said, they don't need to win, but they need to keep themselves in a good spot for that last chance qualifier, because next season is going to be a little bit wacky when it comes to Masters tier, we believe, especially with how they're already talking about how the teams are going to be selected for, or at least make their way for it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little complicated, but I think details are going to become a lot more apparent here in the next couple of weeks when these teams locked in. But either way, looks like for the time, we'll see what happens there. But either way, lobby has opened up. We're going to try to get everybody in here. At least we're hoping that's going to be the case. It should be worth noting here in the situation, while EU Takeover is in a relatively safe spot, they're technically not fully out of the woods, Dex. And what I mean by that is they have 4 wins, which you would think would take them out of bottom 2. But that's not the case. You still have one team that could potentially ruin it for them, and that is In Control, where if they win their last 2 games, including this one a little later on tonight against Shikigami, that would bring them up to 4 wins, and that would put Hive Mind in potential danger, and depending on how the situation goes in a couple of minutes, potentially EU Takeover as well.
Me and you right now, I mean, you can probably just see it based off of our faces here. We're a little bit concerned. Because both teams kind of loaded in the lobby. Everyone was there for EDM. EU Takeover only loaded in with 1. Looks like they're slowly coming in now. But I mean, I really want to see this EU Takeover team, because again, a lot of good talent on this team. I really do believe that this was just a first step for them this season, that next season they'll be a little bit better. And they're going up against a tough team in Emote down mid, who, I mean, you look at them right now, like I said, they've been a little bit of a juggernaut since essentially week 2 of this season. And that's a really rough thing to do. It's really hard to necessarily go on that long win streak. Yeah, you could talk about Nightmare and Dreamland having win streaks of, I believe, 10 each before finally one was dealt their first loss, or at least 9 before one was dealt their first loss here. And now Emote down mid looking to find their second 5-game winning streak of the season here. I mean, they're one of the better teams here, and especially with how they play, they are one of the more unique teams as well. As Cardi-Fan being able to play Wrecking Ball, be able to play Doomfist, and even flex onto some other tanks as well. That really leaves Emote down mid a very flexible team that a lot of teams have to truly prepare very, very hard for, because you could always just see something completely different from them.
Yeah, you can, and it really is that simple to see something different from, honestly, either one of these teams, and the flexibility that they have. Especially, you look over EDM, where we talked about EDM about 2 seasons back. I wouldn't say it would be much of a stretch to call them a team that focused around one comp and ran with it, and it ended up working a lot of the time. But I think they have very much evolved beyond that shtick and are kind of able to move things around quite a bit. Cardi-Fan has proven to be more than just a ball player, has a lot of versatility, as we are going to see the game go on hold, which is honestly the expected result right now, as both teams missing players as of this moment. I will say, not to call anybody out here or anything, and it's not calling anybody out, I think people thought their game was at 9 o'clock, and as they found out earlier, their game was in fact at 8, so that could play into things just a little bit, but at the very least, people were showing up, and they seemed confident that they could get people in here, but it seems like it will take a moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing for both these 2 teams here, because we did lay out the layout, basically what each team is playing for here. EU Takeover can't make the playoffs anymore. They're just looking to keep themselves in a better spot for that last chance qualifier. Emote down mid looking to try to get as many wins as they possibly can here with their remaining games this season, which, I mean, they have EU Takeover tonight, and then Saturday, Nightmare Academy, which, I mean, you have that Nightmare battle happening tomorrow, I believe. That is going to be a big one for both those 2 teams, especially with Nightmare recently slipping a little bit, dropping to Nightmare Academy, losing as well to Kintsugi, who completed the Nightmare sweep in back-to-back days yesterday. I mean, both those teams looking to kind of right the ship here before heading into playoffs. One of them's going to be dealt a loss there, and you're really looking for a little bit more here from, honestly, both those teams right now, because at a certain point this season, Hunter, I feel like Nightmare was two of the two Nightmare squads were two of the best teams in this Masters region, and now they're both having their losses. They're both kind of getting in the mix of everything, and that's where I think you don't really want to be if you're either one of those Nightmare teams.
No, you obviously don't, and it's rough when you get towards the end of the season, you lose those couple of games because it does affect your seeding. Now, obviously, both teams are very much in the playoffs. They have been for at least the last week now. But you're still in a position where you want to make your journey as easy as possible. And honestly, if things don't go quite the way of Nightmare Academy with their last couple of games, there is every possibility you're looking at your first round being Nightmare versus Nightmare Academy, especially if Nightmare it wins that game tomorrow night. It does put Academy at 5 losses, and depending how results go for certain teams like Extinction, YFP, and Emote down mid here today, it could put them in a very weird position. Because remember, everyone from 3rd to 8th right now is so flexible. You imagine Nightmare Dreamland is going to be number 1, number 2. We'll see how that shakes back and forth. But anything can happen within these teams that are at 4 losses. You have Extinction, who has 1 less win, but is still at 4 losses, and Amplify, who's going to be locked down to a little further down the bracket as they have 6 losses, but they secured their playoff spot with 9 wins. And with that, their season's actually done as well, so they're locked in down there. So there's a high potential that Amplify, depending on how Extinction does, they could end up being the 8th seed who goes up against that number 1.
Yeah, quick shout out to Amplify for actually following the Faceit scheduling there, at least being able to, even if they rescheduled games, still end around the time they were actually supposed to end there. So shout out to them for, I don't know if they ever did change game days, but hey, first team done here in North America is nothing to scoff at there. And like you said, in the playoffs, but we talked about last night after our series, you have a lot of these teams with 4 losses where a win can move you up and a loss can move you down. You go from being that 3rd seed all the way down to being that 7th seed after just 1 game, and that's going to be something very important for these teams. But it also just kind of tells you how competitive this region is. We touched on a little bit last night. You have all these teams right here for the right reasons. They are all very good, all very competitive, and they're playing for a lot this season because, hey, there's 2 open spots in OWCS this time around, not just the 1, and you still have to play through a lot to get there, but you want to give yourself the best opportunity. Plus, playoffs, yeah, I mean, there is a little bit of monetary value for making it far in that as well here. But looks like the game has been taken off hold. Lineups are being finalized yet again here. So looks like we'll be heading into this series momentarily, hopefully.
Yeah, obviously you see a little bit of switch around. Make sure you have 5 players that can be in here and get things taken care of. It looks, though, from what we saw from EDM, the roster looks exactly the same. Will I say exactly the same as before? We'll go with that. I believe Ryan is going to be coming in at the very least. But obviously, we'll have those finalized once we get into this game properly. Make sure both teams are going to be ready to go with what they can field. Because obviously, this is still a relatively busy time of the year for some people. But either way, game is ready to go. We saw before that first ban was Moira, but the Diva is going to be the other selection here. EU Takeover is the one with the Moira, and EDM chooses the Diva.
The Diva, I feel like, is just a safe ban at this point right now. And I mean, we always talk about safe bans when it comes to every role here. I feel like Diva at the moment, safe ban when it comes to that tank line, especially when it's coming from EDM, considering you kind of know what to expect from Cardi Fan. Diva might be one of those heroes that's able to slow down a Wrecking Ball, able to slow down a Doomfist a little bit. It really does allow them to kind of play a little bit more freely, and it allows EDM to play a little bit more freely as well. Moira, though, is a little bit of an interesting ban. Hunter, I mean, me and you have to be honest about that. I feel like we haven't seen a Moira ban maybe more than once or twice in the 2 regions that me and you cover throughout the entire season here. So this is a very, very interesting and potentially fun ban right now coming out from them, but it's going to be interesting because it really, I don't think it affects that much for either of these teams.
Yeah, I don't think it really will affect them a whole lot with how they tend to play this game, quite honestly, especially from what we know from EDM, but we're going to learn a lot about EU Takeover as, again, they're trying to finish their season strong and be able to get ready for that LCQ coming up here in just what feels like such a short time away. Everything is going to be happening just like that with Faceit over the next few weeks, but either way, this game is ready to get going. It's all about the seeding here tonight as EDM, again, want to finish on a strong note.
And who has streamer mode on? Let's ask that question.
I think it's Ryan, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not right. Yeah, Ryan has it on, but then someone on the side of EU Takeover also has it on as well.
I believe it's Consta.
Yeah, okay. So Consta on the tank, Ryan coming out here on the Tracer. I mean, this isn't necessarily a surprising composition coming out from EDM. It's what we expect. Cartifan on the Wrecking Ball. PDK showing us the Freya. I think we saw this a little bit earlier from them this season, or a little bit last week, especially on this map. It's going to be interesting to see what you're seeing Ryan do. He's going to be the TP out, then going back over to the... going back over to the Tracer most likely. But look at the other side. Nodi, I think, is a more interesting one on that Torb. And then you also have Consta coming out on the Roadhog. I mean, they're doing everything in the, I think, right here to try to slow down Cartifan as much as they possibly can here.
Yeah, and who's getting slowed down is PDK. Gets hit with the first hook to get things started. And, you know, obviously this puts you in a pretty comfortable position right here, but still, this is EDM. They know what they like to do here. You're going to have Cartifan going around every which way, has become a master at that Wrecking Ball, but still, point opens up. Cartifan can stall for a while, but needs to be careful not to get hooked in.
Grape still going to be able to find AJMR there. However, it is EU Takeover with the first point cap here, but that's not the biggest deal here for EDM. They just want to clean up this fight and then easily get the point flip right after that. Consta looking for the hook into the hole, not going to be able to find it this time as EDM just continues to find pick after pick.
Yeah, and for the time being, things working out really well as you're going to see the fight back coming through here. Bodies dropping one after another. Only 90% on the board, and you're trying to get out of here if you're Consta. Fortunately, that is not going to happen, and to be fair, HMR immediately going to go back over, or not back over, but just go over to the Ana instead of that Baptiste.
I like that Ana a little bit more here, especially with Consta on the other side playing that Hog, and without, my bad, especially with Cartifan on the other side playing that Wrecking Ball. If you hit them with that Bionade, it could really put them in a spot where they have to kind of play away. But Elemental Guy finding PDK out there, I mean, so far, EU Takeover has been able to find PDK pretty early every fight.
Yeah, and you see they're just assassinating this backline over and over. They're keeping constant pressure no matter where it is they go, and this is what you're going to get from Emote down mid. This is how they play the game. But you're going to have DPS ultimates around the corner. PDK is probably going to be rather aggressive in this situation with this Bolo, I imagine, momentarily, especially when you lose out on your counterpart.
Right there, Elemental Guy get hit with the take aim shot, but you're seeing some picks go the way of EU Takeover here. They're not necessarily out of this fight, and honestly, they can really aggress onto the point here, but the Bolo shot going to come out there and only going to find the turret there. Granted, I mean, I'll take that kill any day of the week, and hey, it's going to be Graves finding Zero the hero out there.
Yeah, now you're going to go in and try to find something here. Unfortunately, you just don't have any cooldowns to work with. The Elemental Guy, lucky to be alive. Unfortunately, that luck has run out as, yeah, you just see the reset coming through with 70% now on the board. You're still going to have quite a lot going into this final fight, though.
Yeah, I mean, you look over at EU Takeover, they have 4 ultimates coming online here. Granted, they did use a Nano last fight, which is a huge ultimate, and didn't really work out for them the way they like. And the only thing that EDM's going to have is a beat. But EDM, they're playing up. They're really trying to force EU Takeover to a spot where they have to play very, very fast, not necessarily coordinated as they make their way towards point. Hook, though, not going to be able to find anyone.
PDK still goes down as a result, though. Beat is out. Cartifan doesn't get hit with it, but honestly, you don't really need to get hit with that in that situation. But Elemental Guy gets to, is able to help them take things back for now, but Grapes has kind of been the assassin so far, but you're going to see the big hook right there. Consta should be able to put their foot on the brake a bit here.
Consta trying to find Cartifan right there. Going to be able to get them with the whole Hog. Grapes, though, last one left alive. Going to be able to really just kind of play above everyone right now, both literally and metaphorically. And going to be able to get PDK out of there. That would have been a really costly stagger coming out there from EDM, but you see EDM, they're in a much better spot right now when it comes to ultimates. Yeah, Nodi does have their Molten Core ready to go here.
Oh
but,
God.
Oh no, not the pit.
Oh, that couldn't have been worse. Hoping to find a second one. It's not going to happen this time, but now you just have to go on this point. You have nothing. Pole shot thrown in. HMR will be taken out, and with the overtime in here, I can't imagine there's a retouch as you put the copy on the Torbjorn for the funsies. As they're going to take this first round, I should say, away here. And while it is 157, these little back and forth, that was pretty standard from what we see from EDM nowadays.
Yeah, EDM, I felt like they actually played a little bit slower than what we normally see them play there, but it still worked out very well for them. EU Takeover, they had their opportunities. I mean, Consta was able to find hooks that really did lead to picks, and it wasn't like we've seen it in the past where EDM has multiple members live throughout that entire round. No, everyone for EDM outside of Grapes did die that round there. So, I mean, EU Takeover, they had their opportunities. They weren't really able to ever to build up momentum. That was the biggest thing, whether it be Grapes finding kill after kill after kill after kill, or really PDK or Ryan being able to find so much there. But look at this now, Cardifan getting off of the Wrecking Ball here on Ruins. Instead, going to be showing us Samoan Wall meet themselves on the Malga here. But you also have Consta going over to the Orisa, so I think this is honestly a little bit of a good trade coming out here. I think Cardifan, though, should have a little bit of the advantage here, as once you get Consta lit on fire, they're going to be hard to really take care of.
Yeah, and with Elemental Guy down this early, this fight is going to be really tough to win. You get a nice kill, though, directly back, as Nutty should be able to survive with their squad, and survival is looking decent for now, but you lose out on Consta. You just can't contest this.
I mean, you still technically have the numbers advantage right here for EU Takeover, but having someone with 2 hearts on points, I guess technically counts as 2 people there. But you're already seeing Elemental Guy take care of PDK. Cardifan, though, in that backline, again, just making AJ Amar's life a living hell.
Yeah, and Graves is being chased a little bit, but Graves is again, just managing to play around as much as humanly possible, staying on these walls, staying mobile, and is going to push Chef right back into that. He's going to be taken out. And this fight should be done and dusted. Maybe a little bit more fight back, as Elemental Guy does get the pick on the way out, but still, that fight is more than over.
And Consta maybe went up a little bit too far there, but barely stays alive. However, Grapes and Cardifan not going to allow them to escape here. And again, this isn't EDM playing as fast as they normally do, but they're just playing aggressively. And EU Takeover, again, having some struggles here very early on, but you look at what they're coming up to here. They're going to have 4 good ultimates. However, EDM could have 4 good ultimates of their own here. And Cardifan already running into that backline, but they're taken out early.
Yeah, you use the rally, you break through the side. I like the fact you see Consta head over towards this Junker Queen instead. Still, it's got to go in your favor, as right now you see PDK hanging around behind, solo bolo on the Naughty, as now you're trying to bring this one back around, as PDK is gonna meant to turn this fight completely back around. HMR is separated. You get the mega health pack, but this feels like it should be an inevitability. You take them down, but I think the damage is already done.
The damage already done. Their shout coming out there from Consta, but now the cage and the beat. This kind of feels a little mean.
It indeed is a little mean, but now, I mean, you're about to be at 80% here. You're worried about even getting a touch. You're losing Consta this late, and now you might have to swap to speed, and yeah, Nody can help go over towards that Tracer. It's the only realistic touch, but is dead out the spawn door. Oh, no.
AJMR will find the trade, though. AJMR actually finding 2, but can Consta get to the point in time on that Wrecking Ball? It's going to be just close, but they get denied by the architecture of the map. And Emote down mid. I mean, a dominant map coming out from them here on this first showing. And honestly, I mean, we talked about after that first point, EU Takeover, they had their opportunities, but one thing me and you talk about a lot is consistency. They weren't able to consistently find the picks here. And I mean, is it a shock that we're seeing Graves get play of the game here, considering they just had themselves an incredible map 1 right there, where I'm checking it. They only ended up dying 2 times. I mean, 20 elims tying themselves with most of the lobby with Cardifan. Graves played aggressively on this Lucio and played it very well. EU Takeover, like we said, that aggressive playstyle coming out from EDM really slowed them down, really made them maybe second guess themselves a little bit too much there. But at the same time, you could really just say this is a team that's in the playoffs against a team that's not in the playoffs here, and you're really seeing the difference.
I mean, yeah, you are. This has been the course of the results throughout the entirety of the season. The records completely flipped when it comes to one another. And now, I mean, obviously EDM, in their mind, you want to close this out as soon as possible. You want to get this on and over with, because we have seen what certain teams can do if you let them hang around for too long. And I think EU Takeover is potentially a team that falls into that category. We've seen this from other teams in the past, like Casa, who, unfortunately, while they're out of the playoffs as well, they've taken some really big wins that perhaps they weren't initially picked to go ahead and win, and yet they pull it back. They make it happen. But already we have the lineups finalized. Did you happen? I know we are going to Dorado. Did you happen to catch that first ban there, Mr. Dextron?
Freya is going to be the first ban coming out here from EU Takeover. They want to slow down PDK a little bit, because PDK found a lot of value there in that first map overall. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats right here. 17 elims, 5 deaths. Had the most damage on their team outside of Cardifan on that tank. But again, I always talk about Freya is a good source of damage, a good burst amount of damage coming out there. Emote down mid, though. Going to be making sure that we're going to at least try to allow Cardifan to play the Wrecking Ball here. No Roadhog this map here, so you now have to kind of resort to other tactics if Emote down mid and Cardigan wants to play the hog on this map. Doomfist is still definitely an option, or really any other tank is still an option for Cardigan, as we have definitely seen these past couple weeks under Cardigan. Has a little bit more of a bag outside of the two heroes that everyone kind of knows him for.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the expansion of not just the team overall, but obviously just Cardigan as a player as well. So we're probably going to see that potentially go out here a little bit. Obviously, I think Ball's really good for Dorado, but I think this is a situation where potentially we see something different, especially if EU Takeover can get off to a good start here.
Yeah, and EU Takeover, I mean, they got off to a good start on the first point there on Ilios, but never really able to keep it going after that. They found the first pick. They were able to get the first point cap as well, but that was mostly just EDM allowing them to take that first point. They understood they lost one person early. They just wanted to play for a team fight, and ended up working out for them there. Coming out of the gate here, Cardigan, at least not showing us the wrecking ball here this time, going or sticking with the Malga, which I don't blame them for, especially when you look at the rest of their team at the moment. I'm not necessarily going to talk about EDM and that composition until I actually see it walk out the gate. On the other side, though, looks like we have first to rest this time, aka Consta, or first to reset, my bad, aka Consta, there on the on the Jungle Queen, which is something we did see from them very late last map, but it was in that moment where they were just, I think, desperately trying to find anything to go the way. Noti, though, showing us the Vendetta for the first time tonight. Lifeweavers, though, for both teams, something I wouldn't have expected, but I think the Lifeweaver is mostly just here for EU Takeover, maybe just to be able to pull Consta or Noti away from a situation they really don't want to be in.
Yeah, and speaking of a situation you would be in, they kind of died this backline a little bit, but no one goes down directly. Unfortunately, Noti is going to get taken out this early, and now you're just going to see a situation where they're going to be able to aggress very quickly now. You lose out on that little bit of extra. Everybody's incredibly low and separated from one another, but for the time being, Cardigan is kind of just pushing up with the rest of the squad. Eventually, he's going to get out of dodge, focus on getting that cart forward.
Ryan, or you know yourself, right now, going to be able to find one pick that really gets everything going there for EDM. And, I mean, just look at how Cardi's playing. They're playing aggressively. They're playing as if they will not die at any point right here, as Ryan going to be able to find Elemental Guy. And, again, if you are EU Takeover, you're just trying to stabilize here a little bit. Yeah, you lost Elemental Guy early, but one pick going your way here, especially on this first point push, could go a long way. And there is the one pick you're looking for.
Yeah, but still, you're incredibly low. Consta needs a little bit of healing. Cardigan got really low, but he's getting plenty of care right now, but it's still very much in a killable position. Let's make that abundantly clear, but he's going to be able to get on that pedal. He's going to be able to back out and rest. As the knife from Consta not going to connect.
Consta just trying to keep themselves alive here at the moment. Both the supports just pumping whatever healing they can into them, as you see Cardigan just going straight after them.
Yeah, PDK's down first, though, but instead, here you go. Tree of Life being used here from Chef to make sure that the spike can be secured. Already almost half the time is gone, but still, you are going to see at the end of the day both of them being used. Playing sustainability, but now Cardigan is going to try to end this first round here. Unfortunately, the Dragon says elsewise. The Shimada brothers doing a really good job so far here. Keeping this thing going, as again you see that aggression. Ryan has got to get pulled out just in time.
And one thing I don't like about what we're seeing here from EU Takeover is that they're playing a little bit over aggressive. They just need to play the choke, and now everything's starting to fall apart for them here, as you've already lost your support line.
Yeah, and now this is your last body on the point right here, and unfortunately just not going to get anything out of it. First point is going to be secured right here. Nobody is going to be even close to touching this, man.
No, not at all. And like I said, I understand why EU Takeover was, pushing up a little bit, trying to take some space. But in that situation right there, you had a very good choke point going your way. You did not need to push up that far. I understand. Again, you're looking for this pick. You're looking to stagger it out a little bit more here. You're finally getting some momentum in the series. AJMR just showing that they're deadly on this Kiriko here.
Yeah, and again, HMR has been so impressive for as long as we managed to see them in action. But still, BDK getting rid of Elemental Guy kind of gives you one less target to get away with. And now, as you see Consta run out, HMR is in a bit of a rough situation. Is going to get a crest, but is just nailing these kunai.
PDK up on the high ground, gonna be able to find Schlepp as Noti tries to go after him, gets the hack, not able to confirm the kill, and Cardigan gonna be able just to find Noti right there. But again, you have Consta still with AJMR there around the card, slowing it down a lot here. AJMR will finally fall, but right now it just seems like EU Takeover just trying to just get rid of as much time as they possibly can here, and they've been doing at least a solid job of it here.
Yeah, that they have, but still 3 minutes on the clock here. ultimates are going to become a factor pretty quickly for EU Takeover, but the problem is they're going to be a factor soon. For EDM, it's a factor right now, and heck, getting picks like that, who knows if you need much of them.
And now if you're EU Takeover, you're in a really bad spot. Yeah, you're in a really bad spot. Mine's, though, maybe in a bad spot right there for Cardi-Fan, but it doesn't matter if their team wins the fight.
Yeah, and you're going to see the chase down come through right there. It's just Naughty in AJMR hanging around. Simirush is ready, but realistically, you're waiting to use this tree over on the main point here. There is a potential touch, but now, again, you see Cardi-Fan pushing up is going to make this as difficult as possible.
Is there going to be a touch there? AJMR coming out here, they're just too much to engage. I feel like, and the tree out as well? This seems like very interesting plays coming out here, especially as no one notices the objective.
I was so afraid of it, but I'm like, certainly they'll keep somebody back. The answer is they sent nobody back. So now 3.5 minutes on the clock. Cardi-Fan can just simply back out to the spawn and regroup with their squad, and now you can still technically play up here if you are EU Takeover. You have the capability, you have the ults, and in this open area, you don't exactly hate to be playing in here, especially if you were just taking free time away right now.
And I think you can just play aggressively. You can play. Like you said, you're playing time.
Oh,
that's unfortunate right there for Hansa. And that basically ends the aggressive play coming out here, unless Elemental Guy can pop off with the blade. But I feel like you're also just seeing EDM allow maybe EU Takeover to play this aggressively and not necessarily pushing the card to try to drag them back.
Yeah, and you're just the Elemental Guy go on the run, should be able to get out alive. But again, you use so many ultimates in that fight as Naughty goes for the solo EMP, gets killed with the kunai instead, and now they're throwing everything at them. Consta is down again, and this card's rolling forward as Chef's now back over on the Zenyatta.
Again, at this point, it just feels like kind of desperation picks coming out here. Chef going to be taken out almost immediately. Nodi going over to the Tracer now. I mean, there were points this round where EU Takeover looked to be actually able to slow down EDM here. EDM on a very interesting comp of their own, but I mean, they're doing exactly what they need to do here, but it's going to be a little bit too late for them here as now PDK finding 3 with the Madman.
Yeah, and it looks like that should realistically, be that with Jesus PDK. But but now that would be that round right there. 1:59 on the clock. Again, it looked really good out the gate for EU Takeover. Managed to hold on for quite some time on first. Maybe without the unfortunate stepping off for the point on second. Obviously, I think we could potentially be looking at a different situation right now. But regardless of the fact, it's 2 minutes for Emote down mid. Now EU Takeover had to somehow find a way to finish this map. And to be fair, they did have some good fights, but it's about keeping that consistency.
Yeah, and they had some good fights, which was something that they really struggled to find on that first map. But you said it there, and we've said a lot throughout this series. Consistency is kind of needed here for EU Takeover right now. And again, I came into the series talking about the fact that they're not in the playoffs, but they are essentially, I'm going to say this season is their baby steps. They're slowly trying to get used to this North American Masters here, and I think this has been a good example for it here. They have some wins. They're playing against a good team. They're able to take them in some fights right now, but they need to be able to keep this consistency up after this series. Finding a little bit more consistency in this series goes a long way for them right now, and it looks like it doesn't matter as they are giving away what they're playing. Which, I mean, both these teams seem to be kind of understanding what this series is, and they're being good sports about it, to say the least here. PDK, though, sticking with the grenade man of Junkrat themselves here. But Consta on this Winston, honestly, I think it could find some value here and open up some doors for EU Takeover. Just get something going here.
I mean, that 100% could, as Elemental Guy fell into the trap, gets taken out. And now, Cardi-Fan somehow managed to get 2 from all the way up here, is taking control of the other high ground, is going to go and drop all that aggression over on AJMR. Cardi-Fan already has 3 on the fight as, all you can do for Consta is just back out, take the reset.
Cardi-Fan, though, might get punished here a little bit if more members of EU Takeover come out, but no, they're going to be just gripped away there by Graves to get them out of that sticky situation. But Nodi on this off angle trying to take care of PDK, who's just chucking nades them.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, Cardi-Fan is doing a quick little emote on the point. It's in the name, ladies and gentlemen. It should be expected. But still, Cardi-Fan, all they have to do is just stand there. Stand there, hold the point on for as long as you can. And to be fair, right now, it doesn't look like that they're going to be moved any moment soon.
Well, PDK got return center right there, and honestly, if EU Takeover can get rid of Ryan here, who is playing very far up, and they're going to be able to find him right there with Consta, you have an opportunity here for EU Takeover just to get going, as still Cardifan just kind of chilling there, aura farming on point.
Yeah, eventually does have to make their way up, as they will indeed get pulled up before Grapes ends up going down, but now you lost a couple of members. You have to kind of back out a little bit here. So maybe you get a little bit of momentum if you are EU Takeover. Especially, I mean, you have sights, and it's not big or anything. But unfortunately, while PDK is being a madman in the backline, by the way, I mean, what do you say to that, Dix?
I know you didn't see that, but I got to see that from above. He jumped himself over a building just to do that. And he's still going in, being the madman right now. Eventually, Elemental Guy will shut him down for the second straight time, but the damage already done this fight.
Yeah, an Elemental fan can try to find somebody. Unfortunately, this is going to be a chase to death more than likely. As Blade being thrown out here, this is insane. It's going to be met with the tree. Is cut 3-4 times into Gorilla. He's actually getting a ton of damage in, by the way. This is a super normal fight. Chevabol people takes care of Grapes, and now Consta keeping their team going forward. Cardifan is going to have an annihilation around the corner, and indeed it is going to be popped. Unfortunately, it's going to be burnt down, and while PDK is going to get rid of one, it's not going to be enough to realistically stop this point, but we have seen crazier things in the past. We could see crazier things in the present, but with Gorilla 1 health, lucky to be alive right now, they're holding on to this for quite some time. PDK going down, though, could be the nail in the coffin that you need to keep this one done and over with, as you're going to have the Kitsune Rush being thrown out here. They really want to try to hold on to this fight, and to be fair, eventually, you just don't have enough people to hold on.
Yeah, they want to hold on to the fight, but they forgot to hold on to the point there as well. So this map going to be extended here just a little bit longer, but this could be something where EU Takeover finally gets going. I mean, they're finally able to punish EDM for this aggressive and really unorthodox playstyle, I might add, that they're playing here, but EDM still finding value with it, especially PDK on this Junkrat. Again, I didn't talk about it at the start of the map because I didn't believe it to be the case here, but PDK showing us that they can be scary on absolutely any hero, because right now they're leading the lobby in elims with 24.
Yeah, now you're going to see Consta try to go for a little assassination here. Unfortunately, just not a great area. He is going to balance PDK in the air for quite a little bit of time, but Ryan going to trade themselves out, essentially, as Consta's been in a duel right now with PDK in the backline this entire time, and honestly, kind of lucky to be alive. The rest of their team, though, can't say the same.
Nano going out on the Elemental Guy again without the blade ready to go. They're going to be able to find one pick here, but still, you have to deal with Cardifan, who is still alive on this Malga at the moment. Elemental Guy going to be able to find one. There's the blade now coming out for them. Now just focusing all of his blade on the Cardifan.
I mean, why not? Cardifan is kind of low, but still is able to get back some of that health. Gorilla's hanging around, so again, you're able to get this card forward quite a little bit still, so you are keeping yourself in this one, and I don't think that's a stretch whatsoever. They're doing well. PDK, though, going to trade them out, and with Ryan back on the scene, this is going to be tough, as this fight should be done and dusted.
This is Ryan's fourth hero of the round.
Oh, bye. Oh, bye. Good knowing you. Okay.
I really think Ryan swapped to 4 different heroes now. They're just going through the hit scan lineup at the moment. Cardifan gonna be slept in that backline there, but let's just call that a little bit of a pounce there on the AJMR to send them back to the spawn with the, oh wow, they pounce on their head actually.
yeah, they're gonna push these spawns. Honestly, this is prime EDM trying to do so, and now you get knocked out of the mech, and luckily you get hit with the reset button, so you're able to get back to that mech, retain what little charge you have right now, but still, Ryan has just gotten like 4 straight, by the way. You can't even leave the spawn room right now.
And you see it right there, Nodi actually just trying to mark where Ryan is. They're just sitting there on that Widow, using the spawn's immortality essentially to keep him alive here.
Yeah, and here comes, Riptire's up in the air, and unfortunately for Elemental Guy, it's not looking too hot right now. He's going to try to get back in the spawn room, and we'll be able to do so just in time.
There's a minute left to go here right now, and EU Takeover now just trying to find a way to get out of their own spawn as EDM touching those spawn doors and playing it basically like a brick wall.
Yeah, that they are now. Elemental Guy gonna have another blade. It's been decently successful so far, even without too much of the nano being thrown in, but still, Big Candy thrown into Cardifan, who's extremely low, will eventually go down, but Bob is going to attempt to be the hero. Ryan wants to win this fight, and with that res coming through, it's looking incredibly winnable now.
Braves actually finally picked her on to Nodi. Bob out there going to be going away, but now the blade coming out from Elemental Guy finds two.
Okay, impressive. Jumps right into that. Gets rid of 3. Is going to help get rid of the 4th right now. Nodi finishes them off. Unfortunately, they still have the grand boss in the way right now within Gorilla, who, by the way, gets rid of 1, is going to potentially get rid of both, but Elemental Guy barely holds out.
I mean, Elemental Guy finding 3 there is absolutely huge for EU Takeover, but they're going to have to be walking into a lot. Granted, though, Cardi did get Cage Jacks right there. That's one big ultimate gone, but Gorilla has like a Tsuno Rush ready to go, and you know they're going to be just throwing kunai after kunai.
Yeah, Ryan is down first and foremost, though. Elemental Guy is doing their stuff, honestly. Has been a big standout throughout this entire game, but still Cardi Fan has all of this damage, and the rest of their team is just moving forward. It has to be big here from Constant. Pulls him back because Elemental Guy is in such a rough spot. Is going to go down. He's probably going to have to try to get back to the point, but honestly, realizes the situation, goes after PDK, and yeah, this is going to be match point on the line now. EDM, be real, they look like they're in prime position to take that 10th win.
I mean, they look like they're in prime position right here, especially playing the composition that they just played right there. You could really see that both these teams, like you mentioned, having some fun with it. EU Takeover looks a little bit better that map, but you have the question of, did they look better because they were playing better? Did they look better because Emote down mid was necessarily playing something a little bit weirder, but Emote down mid still made it work there. This is a team that excels on a lot of different heroes. Let's just leave it at that. But I mean, like you said, 2-0 lead here for EDM right now, 1 win away from being in that 10-win mark, which would be a great thing for them, especially after the start they had of going 0-3. This team going into playoffs might end up being the hottest team and maybe the team with the longest win streak as well if they finish up tonight. Good.
Yeah, and that would be the situation. You would have to definitely take that into consideration, but obviously EU Takeover, despite the situation that we have seen throughout the last map and a half, would still be nice for them to try to pull this one back around. We're heading over to King's Row, and the Vendetta is going to be taken out. We did see the Vendetta come out a little bit previously before, and Vendetta, honestly, is just a strong character in general that it just... Honestly, if you think it warrants a ban, it's entirely valid.
It's interesting, though, EU Takeover is taking away Vendetta. Like you said, still strong. We've seen both teams play it. I don't think we've really seen the value that both teams would really want to get out of it here, but yeah, why not just throw out the Wrecking Ball here or throw out the Doomfist? Granted, or hey, really could throw out the Malga because that's what Cardi Fan's been playing the most throughout this series here tonight. But I think getting rid of the Vendetta still shows that EU Takeover is one to at least slow down that DPS line because they've been actually able to deal with Cardi Fan a decent amount. I mean, hell, they actually dealt with that DPS line for Emote down mid pretty well last map. 21 deaths combined there for them that last round. They did a good job shutting down PDK and Ryan.
Yep, 100%. And hey, this ban, I don't think this is too unexpected. This has been one of the comfort heroes we've seen throughout the series. Junker Queen being banned by EDM, which means, unfortunately, I think one of the go-to tanks that we've seen from Constant in this series so far is not going to be available.
Yeah, not going to be available for them. And I mean, Constant's been playing, they've been playing a lot of heroes throughout this. We've seen Junker Queen, we've seen Orisa, we've seen Hog, we've seen Diva. I mean, they have been very, very flexible, and it's honestly because their team has really needed them to be flexible here in some cases just to be able to move the team forward. So it's going to be interesting to see what we see going into what could be our final map of this series here tonight. And again, if you're Emote down mid, you're looking just to get that 3-0 victory, keep your momentum up going into playoffs. If you're EU Takeover, you're looking to at least make Emote down mid bleed a little bit here, take one map off them, and you see it coming out of the gate. Cardi Fan sticking with the Malga. PDK going to be sticking with the Junkrat. Ryan going over to the Cass. I mean, they're just, again, still just rotating through the hit scans at the moment, it seems. But on the other side, it's going to be actually Consta on the Zarya instead of kind of everything else we said here. So again, a very flexible tank. AJMR Elemental Guy, I don't blame them for necessarily sticking this. Honestly, I don't hate it either. They've been doing a really good job playing these two heroes here, and you can see it. EU Takeover still playing a really realistic comp for this map. And now you see Consta go over to the Diva instead as Cardi Fan at the spawn door. And now running away.
Hey, you know what? The best time to do the Touch the Spawn Door challenge is before the game even starts. That's the way you do it right there. But these teams not going to waste a whole lot of time as PDK just doing PDK things and sitting at 11 health will eventually get taken out. Still advantages in their favor 4-3 right now, and you are going to get the sports best pretty quick. Unfortunately, though, there's a res there, and PDK just doesn't have to wait long to get back.
Yeah, not at all there, as PDK immediately finds Elemental Guy, so working out for them very, very well here. And now if you're EU Takeover, you're just looking to find any kind of way to get out. AJMR going over to the Widow, one headshot could be a thing that you're really looking for EU Takeover just to get out of the spawn doors. But Chef actually be able to find PDK, and I don't think it's going to be a res this time.
No, it's pretty good, honestly, but I don't trust that Grapes might try to find a way to get back there in time, but at the very least, you trade things back around. Elemental Guy is also getting incredibly low, and still somehow, some way, they're being forced into a losing situation here, especially Consta separated is going to have to grab that health pack, just not need to be knocked out of that mech, but might get met up, and with that slam right there, they 100% will be.
Yeah, D-Mech here, Elemental Guy trying to come out, but they're going to be swiftly going back to the spawn as fast as they came out of it. Now you're seeing everyone else respawn. Ryan using Deadeye as a zoning tool to keep EU Takeover in the spawn. I mean, EDM, right now it really seems like they want this series to be done really, really quickly.
Yeah, then you can just see that with the way that they're playing this right here. They know what their style is, but you are going to see again, Grapes going to let that Valkyrie go, is going to potentially go for the res, and in fact, is going to get away with it, and Grapes is going to get their own assassination, and now everyone just going to get pulled in, just going to get deleted, so that's going to be another fight done, and with 2 minutes left right here, it's not looking pretty.
Well, four ults were used in that fight by EDM. The only thing that's left is the tire for PDK, but they haven't been able to build that up yet. Elemental Guy has a blade, which has been big for them in the past, but you lose Consta pretty early on here, so it's going to be a little bit delayed, I think, to see that blade, and probably the Kitsune Rush combo come out from them. You take over them. They have ults coming online. They could really put themselves into a spot here where, hey, you dump them all into one fight and just try to win point off that, but PDK shutting down AJMR, going to be slowing down EU Takeover once again.
Yeah, both in there, but yeah, I mean, Ryan and PDK, they've been doing their thing the entire game. Cardigan takes that one away. You're not even going to get a tick off of this one, and yeah, again, gonna go down. Blade and Kitsune Rush are still at hand, though. This is honestly, I think, a situation where they're just gonna build up to all 5 ultimates and let them rip.
Yeah, I think that might honestly be the smartest thing for EU Takeover to here to do at the time. But in the time that you're gonna build up to all 5 ultimates, you're really gonna allow 3 ultimates to be built up from EDM as well as PDK jumping straight into the back line.
Yeah, classic PDK fashion, and here comes Elemental Guy with that blade, and he's doing a lot of damage as eventually going to be taken care of. Gets rid of 2. Good cleanup right there. And with Ryan being separated, we should be able to see this point be capped out, at least for the first 2 ticks. But I fully expect a retouch from EDM. They'll find a way.
They will find a way. It'll probably be PDK just jumping through windows to get there in time. There's that second tick. It actually looks like there's going to be Cardi fans going to be setting up for the retouch here. But the tire out from PDK is going to be the way to just try to keep this point alive for them. But they lose Cardi.
Yeah, that tire is still hanging around, by the way. They are going to rush in. Oh, my God. Actual jump scare, but still, it won't be enough. Cap will come through, and PDK is the last one alive, and they know. They understand, but unfortunately, Elemental Guy gets caught on the trap as... yeah, Ryan, just... honestly, if there's one person who's doing a lot, it is Elemental Guy, but PDK has been a constant pain for this entire team.
Ryan on their hands and knees begging for Elemental Guy to get off this Genji at the moment. As, I mean, hey, you're seeing Noti take care of PDK in that backline as well. EU Takeover starting to get a little bit of momentum here, Hunter, and this is one thing that you touched on briefly. You do not want to allow a team like EU Takeover to get any little bit of momentum, any chance to get back in the series, because they'll take it and they will run with it.
Yeah, and Cardigan is being given every source of heal imaginable. It's just not going to be enough. There's no res that's going to come through. That's back-to-back fight wins now. In this, there's nothing even close to being online here for EDM, so EU Takeover might be in one of the best positions they've been in this entire series.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with 2 people up right now, or 3 people up right now, and 2 people on the card. I like this from EU Takeover. They're actually pushing the card here a little bit, and like you said, no ultimates online, so it's going to be a pretty dry fight, which EDM's been able to win consistently throughout this series here, but you have an EU Takeover team who's rolling with some momentum at the moment. However, they might be rolling without AJMR.
Yeah, that they will. Oh, being taken out. But again, you're going to keep up that aggression, push them back, and now with 1 20 left over on the clock. We still have a couple fights setting up for you right now as Party Fan wants to go aggressive, but hey, Naughty, he's going to get out of there alive.
I mean, you have a couple fights coming up here, but if you lose someone like that very early on, you might truly only have one fight. Unless you see EDM decide to say, hey, we're going to take a fight really, really early.
And to be fair, it works out great for them. They take care of business. Elemental Guy again managed to find their one, which is nice. Unfortunately, this is unlikely to last long as the res comes through. Oof. PDK gets another finish right now, and PDK, man, what do you say?
I was gonna say there. If there was no res, I was waiting for the Ryan crash out in the chat. But Ryan already finding two, trying to skeet shoot a third one there in the air as they're trying to get rid of Chef, who's just wall riding away. They might go straight to card here. I was gonna say they might get a backup, but that's not gonna happen.
And not quite. Elemental Guy is lucky to still be standing, by the way. Yes, indeed, Panos, you are right about that one, Ryan. As Elemental Guy gonna move up once more, is hoping to keep playing the hero for their squad. PDK is sitting literally at 10 health. We've seen better health bars, but we're about to see the overtime. We are gonna have the touches to activate as PDK is currently going against the support backline, and with this tire, is hoping to get rid of one, and that they will.
Oof. And Ryan comes out and immediately takes care of Chef. AJMR and Kansa are there, so you could actually still realistically see a second point cap here by EU Takeover with both cages online, and Elemental not getting rid of Gorilla. There's one cage. Where's the second one?
Well, for the time being, Party Fan is trying to win the one-on-one as this is going to keep extending forward. A minute and a half on the clock now for EU Takeover. As, again, Ryan going to go back over towards the Ash, which honestly worked wonders on Dorado.
It looked really good on Dorado. And like I said, I felt like at a point there they were kind of rotating through the hit scans, but they were able to find value with all the hit scans, honestly. And now, though, I mean, we're talking about EU Takeover having that second point. They have some momentum going their way here yet again. They still have a Consumer Rush to their name and a beat coming up here. So they're not actually in the worst spot, but they have to deal with the cage out there. But it doesn't catch anyone. However, that DPS line doesn't care.
Yeah, it does catch a person or two up top, but they release it because they want to be able to chase everybody else. It works out pretty well, and now Consta force into the corner is going to get burnt away in time. Is going to try to get out, just will not be able to. So now with 40 seconds, you're to see EDM probably keep playing really close and aggressive here, and they have no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean, right now you can just keep the spawn touch basically going here. If you do break through, I mean, it's not like the cart is right there at the finish line where Chef or someone could just try to go sneak it in here. So you can absolutely play this playstyle right now if you're EDM, especially with having both your support ultimates coming online and a Bob is not that far away either.
No, not at all. Trying to crush Chef right now, who again is super low. Beat couldn't be used here, but they're gotta get some kind of touch here because you're gonna have 7 seconds left. Everything being used right here, it's probably going to have to be Consta or Naughty that's gonna get this touch. ED's gonna come through, overtime is activated, and while Elemental Guy does have a blade, unfortunately it's only gonna get rid of the one more touch online. Nobody is particularly close to getting another touch though. You're gonna see Chef race get over towards the point, but the numbers game is just too severe to deal with.
AJMR finds one, looking for a second, but it's going to be Ryan shutting them down there. Graves will get the res, and that will do it for this round. Maybe a round that lasted a lot longer than I think we kind of expected, especially with how those first 2 minutes left went. But EU Takeover actually gave themselves a good win condition here. They did, and I mean, all they really truly need is 2 or 3 long, drawn-out fights on the first point, and I think they could find themselves winning a map in this series.
Yeah, they 100% could. I mean, all things considered, they managed to pull out some really good fights during their attacking phase, but now on defense, I think this is where things could get especially rough. You've seen the numbers that some of these players have been able to put up. Ryan, 28 elims, Hardy Fan coming up on 15,000 damage, by the way, after only 9 minutes of play. I know it's a Mauga, but that is still insane. By the way, it also has more heals than oh my goodness, has more heals than one of the supports over on EU Takeover. Little fact.
Yeah, and I mean, Consta almost has more heals than Chef on their own team. I mean, both the Malgas have been playing very well. You see to see it in the damage stats there. Almost 13,000 for Consta, almost 15,000 there for Cardifan. But again, it's the DPS lines that have been really doing a lot here tonight. And Ryan and PDK, no matter what they're playing, are just scary. Elemental Guy has been really putting up a fight here, but you also just look at the stats here. 18 and 11, not necessarily the best, but they really did open up a lot for their team there when they did win those fights. But now, again, like I said, 2 or 3 long drawn-out fights is all EU Takeover needs. But I don't think EDM's going to try to make these fights long.
No, they'll try to shut this down as fast as you possibly can. But Cardifan kind of needs to live for that to happen. But we see Ryan over on this Pharah. And while it doesn't work initially, we have seen how effective that Pharah has been, especially in a couple of recent games.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to find the res right there back on the Ryan. Cardifan going to come right back out. And Elemental Guy not there now for EU Takeover, who's been very pivotal in a lot of their fights. Yeah, I'm expecting EDM to come in here very, very quickly. And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, bunch of cooldowns being used, and now you just pull the corner. You're going to have the opportunity to pounce on this, but now Ryan taken care of has a relatively close spawn here, but you get 1 tick, potentially going to get the 2, but here comes that aggression. Cardifan going to get stomped down. And this fight is so integral. Unfortunately, while you are going to win that 1v1 with the Malga, the res is going to come through, and this feels like it's an inevitability. You're doing your best to stay alive. Unfortunately, you're forced out, and the retouch just isn't going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but Consta's still alive here somehow, some way. Elemental Guy, first one to die in that last fight, first one to get back in here and find Ryan, who they have been absolutely tormenting throughout this entire map. And hey, looks like that tormentation, they'll be able to stay up here.
Yeah, 100%, as you're going to see again the chaos of it all. And man, you just don't want to mess around with that Junkrat. You just don't want it. Cardifan goes down as you're going to see things start going the way, and you're just waiting for that potential opportunity. Moves in, but it will be taken care of this time, as you're going to see the solo ult initially on Elemental Guy will go down, and now you see Grace moving in to help take care of business, and still, Consta's going to get rid of 2 here, is keeping this alive, but still only has so much help left.
Only have so much help left, but they do have Nodi with them, who can invest their Consumer Rush into that same fight as well and try to clean up. And I mean, you're still looking at a chance here for EU Takeover to really find a hold here, but you're already just seeing both Consta and Nodi back up here, just really because of PDK and Ryan back over to the Ash here, looking to cause a lot of problem. But AJMR gonna get this fight started with the overclock, and it's paying dividends.
Yep, it's nice. Res comes through. Elemental Guy is more than happy to pull up as well with this blade. It's looking good so far. Ryan in the room being cut off. HMR eventually does go down, but it's still going the way here of Emote down mid. Cardifan, Gorilla, PDK all staying alive here, but there is time to contend one more time.
Yeah, there is time to contest here. EDM going very far up right now, just try to, keep all the space here. Cardifan trying to take it all away, gonna run back now to regroup with their team, and that cart's so close to the point now. Chef does have the Tidal Blast ready to go, and I imagine it's going on to someone like Elemental Guy or Consta here. Elemental Guy gonna be the target. Chef, though, already find Ryan.
Yeah, big stomp over on the Elemental Guy, who is staying alive best as possibly can, but the trade-outs, you don't hate these at the end of the day, and as a matter of fact, it's less of trade-outs, but more of EDM getting shut down. Gorilla is still alive, though. PDK is still hanging around, by the way, who is in a very peculiar spot right now.
Yeah, but I think everyone for EU Takeover knows where PDK is. Chef just throwing some orbs, and they're going to be able to find him. PDK now going to run straight into Constant.
Yeah, and potentially not the best scenario, as they will go down, but Ryan still gets done in that situation. Just trying hard. It's a 4v4 though. Bob will be thrown into a very precarious position, but still, Elemental Guy been so consistent throughout the day here, but you lose out on 2, and if that Bob goes down here momentarily, this is going to be so hard to bring back.
I don't think they're going to bring it back here. I think you can kind of write that story right there, bookmark it as well. Second point capped here for EDM. Now 4 minutes to just go about 35 meters here, and that's all they need to complete the series and give themselves 10 wins on the season here. Cardifan, though, getting all the health they desperately need right now with a cage fight ready to go. PDK could combo with the tire, and the cage is out. Where's the tire?
Yeah, the tire has been is currently getting delayed right now. That's how it is. But here it comes. It's thrown out. All that speed thrown around, and Chef is going to be the main target once again. And with AJMR down, this is looking to be rounding out here momentarily. Elemental Guy trying their hardest is going to help cut through Cardifan at the very least. So trying to keep them in a good position. Unfortunately, though, you have to sustain as long as you can. Grape down, though, puts you in a good position to be able to do so, but you have to keep Consta alive, keep those touches going, as AJMR goes ahead, gets 2 over on the Widow, and is going to be able to keep them alive momentarily.
Momentarily is the case right here. Graves pulled out the pistol there for a brief moment, then rethought it considering they're playing Mercy. But now Consta has Cage, Chef gonna have Title Blast, AJMR has our sights coming up here, and Cardifan on the hog here. And Elemental are gonna be able to shut down the Mercy, who did pop Valk in that fight.
Yeah, that they did, but still 2:45 on the clock. And honestly, if I'm Cardifan, I'm trying to do something here as you don't really get anybody with this right here, and now you're gonna get pulled in, forced into combat, but still, you just have too much health to really have them deal with you. So in this situation, I think you just need to try to play a little safe with your Consta. I know you want to try to build up towards that next cage fight as fast as possible, but if you get taken out, it's essentially game over.
It is right now. 2 minutes still left on the clock here for EDM to finish this map, but I gotta give the Takeover some credit here for being able to shut it down a little bit. But losing Elemental Guy has been pivotal in a lot of your fights early on is not the thing you're really looking for here. Now you're kind of relying a lot on Consta.
Yeah, and now Consta is being given everything. Is going to be able to stun one, but with all that healing, you're not going to be able to get there. You're off the cart. You got to force bodies on one after another. You're going to touch one more time here. If you're Consta, unfortunately, that touch is going to delay the inevitable. Elemental Guy, who's been a hero, is going to be shut down here. Trying touch after touch, but the writing is on the wall. EDM with a 3-0 victory, going to move to 10 wins on the season. And now they are in a fantastic position here with only 1 game left in the regular season.
And right now, EDM came into this game talking about the fact they started off 0-3, won 5 in a row, lost to Dreamland, and now on their second 5-game winning streak of the season here. And honestly, Hunter, I mean, if you're gonna just go based off, just the past, what if EDM loses the next game? Then they go on a 5-game win streak, potentially win playoffs? Hey, probably not something they want to do here. They want to keep the momentum rolling here. They looked really good tonight, even with the interesting compositions coming out from them here. We did see a lot of these players be able to pop up and excel on basically every hero they played. I mean, yes, everyone, you did watch Cardifan play Malga for the majority of this series here tonight, not the Doomfist, which we didn't see at all, or Wrecking Ball, which we did see a little bit, but not as much as the big Samoan brick wall themselves. And hey, we got a little bit of hog there at the end. So what more could you really ask for?
I don't know. This just seems like a typical EDM game to me. Again, I talked about at the beginning, this is not the same EDM that we knew a couple seasons back. And it's not, but at the same time, part of it definitely is. It hasn't lost that identity. But hey, you're in a good position. You take a pretty confident 3-0 here today. You do so in pretty fun fashion as well. So, hey, if you're EDM, you got to be feeling good right now. For you Takeover, for them, it feels like it is what it is situation. You got 1 more game running for you within Dreamland, and there are games going on later tonight that do have some pretty big implementations, but when I say tonight, I mean literally right now is In Control, Shikigami's about to start, Kasa and Kitsugi is about to start as well, and one of those games that's going to be really important for seeding Dreamland taking on YFP, that all 3 of these, honestly, are really important towards the seeding going on here, especially Kitsugi, who has been on a tear lately. He's a 10-win team, and is potentially in position to keep themselves in that top 3.
Yeah, Kintsugi's been a really fun team to watch here in these past couple weeks, just because of how good they've been playing. Hunter, you had to remind me that the majority of that team was on an OWCS team last year. That's the thing that I forgot completely about there, but it makes sense why they are playing as good as they possibly are, or as they really are right now. And I mean, they should be really being talked about as maybe one of those teams that can take those 2 spots to go to OWCS, but that's still a long way down the line here. They still have a couple more games to go this season, and then a whole playoff run ahead of them here, but that could be the same thing said for a lot of teams. EU Takeover, I just want to say this, it's been a rough season for them, kind of like I said, but this was, I believe, a lot of their first times in or in the Masters tier here in North America. I don't blame them for having the struggle here. I think this is a good learning opportunity for them. I think if they are able to stick around in Masters next season, I think this is going to be a much different looking EU Takeover team. I think they're going to be a little bit more confident with their playstyle, especially what we saw here tonight. They did have their moments. Elemental Guy looked incredible tonight throughout the series. Yeah, don't look at the death counter for them, but they were able to find a lot of picks here, and like I said, did at least get Ryan to maybe almost have a little bit of a breakdown.
Yeah, 100%. But we did manage to see some good stuff from them here today. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these players next year, hopefully. Or not next year, next season. It's really easy to say next year sometimes.
Yeah.
But hey, again, while that is going to be essentially it for them in this situation, again, they got one more game going against Dreamland. Hopefully we'll see them in the very near future with the LCQ coming up here as well, and hopefully beyond that as well, because this is a good team with a lot of good players. It just happens to be one of the most competitive seasons we've had in Faceit Masters in quite some time. But obviously, we'll get there moreover. But hey, there's still a few more games going on throughout the rest of the weekend, but when it comes to that, that is going to be it for us here specifically with the regular season. Obviously, we have North America and South America playoffs. Ignore the potential beeping sound as you could keep.
You sure?
I listen, man.
Hey, I'll go whatever way you want to go, man.
I know. Trust me, I saw it and I had some temptation for a moment, but I gotta be honest. After a game like that, man, I think that culminates everything right there with an EDM EU Takeover game that both teams just had fun with. Obviously, I'm happy to see how the rest of these games end up going down, but for me, after that, I'm personally fine. I'm chilling. I'm having a good time here tonight. But like we said, with the playoffs coming up here for North America and South America, we'll cover as much as we can for those. Obviously, we do know the dates for a lot of these playoff games are going to be happening. Obviously, more information to come down the line about more specific things, which obviously we'll be keeping our eyes peeled on that. We hope y'all will too. But for everybody, again, keep supporting Faceit, keep supporting Tier 2 Overwatch. Just support Overwatch in general, just Overwatch as a whole. But we appreciate y'all being here, and hopefully next time we see you, it's going to be playoff action. So have yourselves a good one, and we'll see you then.